You're looking at a live shot of downtown Cleveland, Ohio. They love their Cleveland Browns here in Cleveland. And tonight, the Browns take on the Rams from Los Angeles. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Buick and your Buick dealer. The Great American Road belongs to Buick. By Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsors of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. By United Airlines, rededicated to giving the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies. And by McDonald's, it's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, and welcome to a rocking Cleveland Stadium. There'll be 80,000 plus here tonight. The varsity is back, and you can feel it in the air. They have a love affair with these Cleveland Browns here in Cleveland, and a year ago they came within one game of going to the Super Bowl, losing to Denver in overtime right on this very field, and they did not make it. They feel they can make it this year. They're back together again. They're a solid football team. They are 3-2, and they need a win tonight to stay abreast of Houston and Pittsburgh in the AFC Central Division. They were both winners yesterday. Meanwhile, for the Los Angeles Rams, it's an entirely different story. They are 1-4, and head coach John Robinson feels he needs a win tonight just to stay alive in the NFC Western Division, where San Francisco is out front at 5-1. And if that were not a big enough problem, overcoming that, John Robinson has internal problems. His franchise player, the best running back perhaps in the National Football League, Eric Dickerson, who wants to redo his contract. He wants to re-up that contract. The Rams have talked to him, but Eric doesn't feel they're talking loud enough. He's a very unhappy football player, an unhappy camper, if you will. And so we are going to see an Eric Dickerson out there tonight. And speaking of welcoming back all the varsity and all the players, we'd like to welcome back my colleague, Al Michaels, from World Series competition. It was a great telecast. You and, of course, Tim McCarver did a wonderful job, and Jim Palmer, and I think of Kurt Gowdy. You just made it all happen for us, Al, and welcome back in the Superb.
Thank you, sir. It was a lot of fun, and I know one thing. John Robinson is hopeful that Jim Everett can pitch as well on 36 days rest as Frank Viola did on 3 last night, because he has his quarterback back. But as Frank said, Eric Dickerson wants his contract renegotiated. He has said several times he'd like to be traded. And all of a sudden, this is a team right now with a lot of problems. When the year began, the Rams were very hopeful. They thought they had a good shot to win the NFC West. They went out and hired a new offensive coordinator, and they figured with Ernie Zampese coming in and with the emergence of Everett and with Eric Dickerson, the Rams would have a great shot to get to the Super Bowl. But their pre-strike team, their regular team, was 0-2. Their strike team 1-2. They come in with a mark right now of 1-4. They would be 4 games back if they don't win. And, of course, it is a team that appears to be very much in disarray. As far as Dan Dierdorf is concerned, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Quite the contrary. The Cleveland Browns are very happy to have their regulars back, and they think they've got a great chance to wind up in the Super Bowl.
Al, if there's any disharmony here in Cleveland, either with the fans or the players or the coaches, I certainly can't find it. 80,000 are here tonight. You'd never know there was a strike. To go to a Browns practice, you would never know there was a strike. Their coach, Marty Schottenheimer, has done a superb job of keeping this team together, even though 9 of his players did ultimately cross the picket line. Offensively, it's Bernie Kosar. He is the leader, the undisputed leader of this football team. Of course, in Kevin Mack and Ernest Byner, a pair of former 1,000-yard rushers, they can move the football down the field. Defensively, it's one of the best shows in the game. The Dogs. The dog bones will be flying from the end zones tonight here at Cleveland Stadium, and the Browns fans are hoping tonight is the game that heads the Browns towards the Super Bowl in San Diego.
And it is a beautiful night in Cleveland. Temperature in the 50s. It's cloudy, but no threat of rain, at least through the course of the game. The Rams to receive, the Browns to kick off. A full house as Jeff Jager gets ready to come forward, and the game is underway with a line drive bouncing kick that's taken at the 8-yard line by Ron Brown, and he brings it back out to the 28. The Rams begin from there. Jim Everett crossed the line and was in uniform last week but didn't play. His numbers through the first 2 weeks of the season are reflected there. 3 interceptions and no touchdowns. And the rest of the backfield, it's Buford, McGee, and Charlie White getting the start, with Dickerson on the bench at least at the outset. Brown and Ellard with Hill the tight end. And the men up front, Para and Slater, the key men on the right side. 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line with Ellard going in motion. And Everett throwing and incomplete. Ron Brown could not make the one-handed catch out at about the 40-yard line. And it'll be 2nd down and 10. Looking at the Browns now defensively, a 3-4 with Golick, the nose tackle, in the middle. Sanford, Eddie and Mike Johnson and Clay Matthews, the linebackers. And that great secondary to which Dan referred, with Dixon and Minifield at the corners, Gross and Ellis are the safeties. Rams second down and 10 at their own 28-yard line. On a delay, it's White. And Charles takes it out to the 32-yard line. Pushed back there by Mike Johnson. Third and about 7 coming up.
One of the things the Cleveland Browns are going to do tonight is play the 46 or the Bear defense, Buddy Ryan's old defense. Let's take a look at it. Two linebackers together right here. This is Mike Junkin, their number 1. Clay Matthews moves over. They put in a 4th lineman. This is Al Bubba Baker, who's going to play the Richard Dent role and get upfield. In the middle, Mike Johnson. That defense, 8 men on the line of scrimmage designed to stop the run.
Third down and 6 from the 32-yard line. Everett looking for the first down and incomplete. Henry Ellard well covered, and so the Rams come up short on their first series, and John Robinson's team is forced to punt immediately.
Further to what Dan said about that 46, in the opening game, the Cleveland Browns lost to New Orleans Saints. Reuben Mays ran for 147 yards, and the next night, Marty Schottenheimer, who watched the Bears against the Giants, saw the 46, what it did to the Giants' running game, put it in, and you're going to see a lot of it tonight.
Gerald McNeil at 5'7" and about 147 pounds out of Baylor. Last year, he was the only player in the league to return both a kickoff and a punt for a touchdown. Dale Hatcher kicking it. McNeil at the 32 and hit immediately at that spot by Stewart at the 34-yard line. And here comes Bernie Kosar to lead the offense. So Bernie is back. Gary Danielson led them to a victory last week, 34-0 over Cincinnati in both teams' final replacement games. So Kosar with Byner and Mack as the backs, Langhorne and Swatter, the wide receivers, and the great tight end in his 10th year, Ozzie Newsome, and the guys up front, Cody Risen on the right side in his 8th year out of Texas A&M. Byner starts in a slot with Mack, the sole running back in this set from the 34-yard line. And it's Mack looking for room and finding none, and stopped at near the line of scrimmage by Doug Reed. Call it a gain of 1 and make it second down and 9. And a look now at the Rams. 3-4, Reed, Meisner, and Sean Miller, who was hurt toward the end of the game last week against Atlanta. That cost him. Owen Decker and Jim Collins is back after missing a year in Wiltshire. And the Rams with a very good secondary. And notice that Nolan Cromwell is no longer a starter. Second down and 9 from the 35. Mack stays in the block, and Kosar sidearms it out to the 42-yard line to Webster Slaughter. Short of the first down by about 3.
You saw right at the bottom of your screen, perhaps the most athletic of the linebackers for these Rams, Mike Wiltshire, just drilling. The back was trying to pick him up right into Kosar's face.
Bernie Kosar, a man of rather unorthodox style at quarterback.
You're being kind. Here's Wiltshire at the bottom of your screen.
He gets the pressure working against Ricky Bolden and moves him back into Bernie Kosar, but one of the things about being unorthodox, it's an aid in getting rid of the football. That time, he threw the ball sidearm, got it around a rusher.
Third down and a short 2 from the 43. Kosar again slings it out to the 48-yard line, caught by Brian Brennan. Stopped by Johnny Johnson. Brennan, the fellow you would call, well, every team has what they call a possession receiver, and he's their possession receiver. Marty Schottenheimer heading the Browns in his 4th year, and his club out near midfield at the 49, 1st and 10.
Brennan played in last week's game against Cincinnati, a 34-0 win. He had 10 receptions, but he had 8 of them in the first half. Danielson, by the way, was the quarterback of that game.
Against the Bengals. From the 49, 1st and 10, Cleveland. Ernest Byner takes it out to the 50-yard line. Byner and Mack last year, both with injuries, and they were limited in terms of playing together. The prior year, they had each gained more than 1,000 yards.
And last year, they only played 7 quarters together, Al, out of an entire 16-game season. That's regular season, not even counting the playoffs. 7 quarters. Kevin Mack and Earnest Byner together, and they're both healthy, although Kevin Mack twisted his ankle a bit in Friday's practice. We'll watch him as the game goes along.
On 2nd and 9, Kosar, and it's intercepted at the 45-yard line, and Mike Wiltshire takes the ball back to the 47. It was tipped off the hands of Earnest Byner and into the hands of Wiltshire, and the Rams get the game's first break.
One of the reasons they leave Wiltshire in there in their pass prevent defense, the only linebacker that stays in there, as we look again, is that he is such a good athlete. He takes a good deep drop. He is very alert. This ball is deflected, and he is there to make the interception.
Jim Collins, number 50, is the guy that came along and removed Byner from being able to catch the ball after he tipped it, and Wiltshire stayed with it and makes the pick.
First down, Rams at the Cleveland 48-yard line. 11 minutes to go in the first quarter. With Ellard in motion, Everett complete to Brown, and Ron Brown takes it to the 42-yard line, where it'll be 2nd and 4.
Well, you look at these quarterbacks tonight, maybe no one has given up quite so much to get them. The Browns, to get Kosar in a supplementary draft, gave up first-round draft picks. In 1985 and 86, they gave up the 3rd and the 6th. You take a look at Jim Everett. They gave 2 firsts to get him for the Rams from Houston, who couldn't sign him, and they gave a 5th and a couple of ball players. And these are 2 high-priced quarterbacks, and both of them 6'5".
Still the 4-6 by Cleveland. They're playing that Bear defense.
Rams send McGee as a receiver, wide out left, Ellard in motion, and running up the middle with White. First down inside the 30, and White takes it to the 23, stopped by Mike Johnson, and a man with a new lease on life who started the season arrested on a drug charge, Charles White, then crossing the line, taking over for Dickerson during the strike, and Charles White a reemergence.
I think we're going to see a block at the point of attack by David Hill, number 81, the tight end. Irv Pankey pulls from the left side, and Charlie White gets a huge hole. John Robinson this morning said that Charlie White is the toughest man he has ever known in his entire life.
And a tricky field, he kept his footing, cutting it back, and we're going to see a lot of slips tonight because this football field is a mess. They've had a couple of concerts here earlier in the year, and it was during a heavy rainstorm, and they've had to try to resod it. They've dropped a lot of sand on it, but it is a very, very tricky field.
Everett didn't like what he saw, so he calls a timeout. 9:33 to go in the period. Against Pittsburgh, that's the best day any running back has had. Chuck Banks of Indianapolis, 159-2. He was not even activated. He was one of the strike ball players, but not active right now. And then White had the 3rd best day at 155. Rams after a timeout, 1st and 10 at the 23 with Ellard in motion. This is Buford McGee. They picked him up from San Diego when they sent Barry Redden south in the offseason. And he scored on his only carry of the year last week. Buford McGee.
And he's starting tonight because Mike Gooman, who would normally start in that position, not able to go tonight because of an injury. And so Buford McGee having to go on only about 12 hours notice.
Those are the dogs.
I love it. I'm sorry. I get a kick out of that.
2nd and 8 at the 21-yard line. Dangerous pass and incomplete. Buford McGee, and he was covered. Eddie Johnson was right there, and that baby was floating. And had it floated another second or so, you might have had an interception.
Going back to Charlie White for just a moment, it was back in 1985 when Eric Dickerson was not available because he was holding out on a contract dispute. Charlie White came in and had a couple of big games. It was Barry Redden who opened the season of 85, and he had an injury. Charlie White came on. In the second game, Charlie White had 144 yards rushing against the Eagles, the former Heisman Award winner who played for John Robinson of USC.
3rd down and 8. Rams sent 4, now 5 receivers into the pattern. It's lofted into the corner, and it is apparently complete. Yes, at the 1 to Damone Johnson, one of the 5 receivers the Rams sent out into the pattern, and Johnson able to make the catch inbounds and set up a 1st and goal.
That time Johnson was lined up in the slot to the left side of the field, and just went downfield about 10 yards and made a sideline diagonal cut, and that was a beautifully thrown pass by Jim Everett. Watch the touch on the ball. Up in the air, over the shoulder of the defender, Chris Rockins, and right into Johnson's hands. That's a beautifully thrown pass.
And right on top of it, the official, both feet inbounds.
That's his first reception of the season. First and goal at the 1-yard line. White, nothing developed, and down he goes for a loss of about 2 back to the 3-yard line.
You know, since we're down in the bleacher end of it, and we've been talking about the dogs, we may as well explain what it was. And I know it really turned my pal on Dan here, but a few years ago, they started, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, as a matter of fact, they started calling themselves the Dogs. I think it started with Minifield and then Hanford Dixon, the cornerbacks. And they started barking at each other, and they started barking on the field. They started barking off the field, and now this entire stadium, every time the defense is out there, starts to bark, and they have these dog faces. It's wild.
Second down and goal at the 3. The up back, McGee, fights his way back down to the 1, to the original line of scrimmage. So it's third down and goal, Los Angeles, with 7:53 to go in a scoreless first period.
And that'll fire the Dogs up.
They actually throw dog biscuits, soup bones, steak bones. Everything actually comes out onto the field. They say that when you're working in that end zone towards the third and fourth quarter of a ball game, it actually crunches under your shoes from all the doggy biscuits out there.
Imagine if you came here from another planet.
Some of them did.
Third down and goal at the 1. Diving and scoring is White. So Charles White with a penalty flag down. There's a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
And I'll tell you what it is. One of the Rams was moving forward at the snap of the football. The motion man. That's a motion penalty.
And the crowd now knows it. Mark Wright discussing it with Bob Beeks, the line judge. Motion against L.A. No TD.
You've got to be going parallel to the line of scrimmage.
Illegal motion, number 81, offense. Third down.
Actually, it's number 84, James McDonald, the motion man. You had a good look at him there. Made the corner and turned towards the goal line before the ball was snapped. So David Hill, unfortunately, singled out by the officials, but it was James McDonald.
Puts the pass back into the huddle, too. You don't hurt it from there.
Third down and goal now from the 6-yard line. Brown splits to the left, and Ellard comes to the right. Ellard in motion. Ellard and Brown now both on the left side. And on third and goal, Everett looks to the right side. It's up in the air, and it's intercepted and brought back by Felix Wright to the 30, 40, to the 50. One man to beat. It's White, and White is able to knock him out of bounds.
A lot of things happened on that play. It was originally set up by a safety blitz. Chris Rockins came in and pressured Jim Everett. Take a look to the left side of your screen. There comes Ray Ellis to his left, 37. Watch Rockins. He hits Everett at the moment of the throw, but David Hill hit from behind, and now away we go with Felix Wright.
Foot race, and it was almost won by Wright, as Charlie White was able to cut it off the pass, but not until it was taken back all the way inside the Rams' 35-yard line. What a disappointment for them.
Now at the 31, Kosar off the play fake, slings it for a first down to Ernest Byner, and he drops the ball but out of bounds. Cleveland's ball at about the 13. So the Rams, who would have been into the end zone, but for the motion call, all of a sudden now backed up near their own end zone.
Let's look at the throw here from Jimmy Everett. It really is a good throw. David Hill has it. There's no excuse for him not catching that football. And from there, Frank, it's just the old-fashioned tip drill.
He had 6 points. No one could have stopped him from taking it into the end zone. Big man, he just could not handle it.
First down, Browns at the Rams 13. A scoreless first quarter. 7 minutes to go in the period. Mack to the 10. Gain of close to 3. Call it second down and 7. Robinson, he's watched his team build up a couple of big leads thus far this season. One pre-strike, one during the strike, and blow them. They led Atlanta 17-0 at the half last week and went down to defeat.
He's also staring into the jaws of a loss tonight, puts them at 1-5, with the only consolation there is they'd be tied with the Giants.
Makes a long November, December.
2nd and 7. Mack fights his way for a couple. Turns that into a 2-yard gain, pushed back by Jim Collins, who leads the team in tackles at this point of the season. It'll be 3rd down and 6 as they'll spot it at the 9-yard line. Jim Collins along with Eckern, the inside backers, Wilshire and Owens outside. 3rd down and 6 at the 9-yard line. Langhorn in the slot, Brennan in motion, and Kosar going to the left side, complete to the 4 to Webster Slaughter. Very close to a 1st down. Leroy Irvin is there, very close to a 1st.
You got the impression on that play that Bernie Kosar wanted to go to the right side of the field to his motion man, Brian Brennan. Look that side of the field. He works it. Now he comes back across the field to Slaughter. Now Slaughter was at least his 3rd look on that play, maybe even his 4th.
And they spotted it close to the 5, so they were a yard shy of the 1st down, and in comes the field goal unit. Jeff Jager to kick. They'll spot it at the 13-yard line. 23-yard attempt. And he boots it through. So after the Rams have a touchdown nullified on the penalty, then the right interception, the Jager field goal, 4:47 to go in the 1st period. 3-0 Cleveland. Cleveland lit up his Terminal Tower, not far from Cleveland Stadium, where the Browns lead 3-0. And the kickoff is fielded a yard into the end zone by Ron Brown, and he comes out with it and gets popped out at the 21. Lucius Sanford hits him. And let's check in with Corey McFerrin in New York.
So far, the Twins' success not rubbing off on the Broncos. Early in the 1st quarter at the Metrodome, Denver from the shotgun. This is John Elway going long for Vance Johnson. He's wide open for the touchdown, and the Broncos lead 7-0.
It's funny to lead to a cutaway on Monday night. I can't think of another time when there was another Monday night football game.
No other time.
Yeah.
Minnesota, by the way, 2-3 in the Central Division of the NFC, and Denver, of course, 3-1. They trail San Diego. That's 5-1 in the Western Division of the AFC.
1st and 10, Los Angeles from the 21-yard line. Everett going to the air and swings it out to Charlie White, who drops the football. It was a forward pass, so an incomplete pass, 2nd down and 10. The only reason that game is being played in Minnesota tonight is the fact that the 7th game of the World Series was held yesterday. It was originally scheduled as a Sunday game, but obviously because of the series was pushed back a night.
Who did that 7th game anyway?
How about Tom Kelly?
I remember watching it, but the commentary, I'm trying to remember those. I recognize Palmer and McCarver, but that 3rd guy.
You better be good on the telestrator tonight, pal. 2nd down and 10. It's White taking it out to the 25-yard line. Charlie White. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
You get a little feel of the condition of this field. That's one of the poorer spots that they are working on right now, and it really is tough on a running back. We talked to John Robinson about it. He said he tries to make a positive out of it. He tells the running back, well, just think how tough it is on the defense. I guess if you can think that way, well,
this field, Frank, isn't as much harm to the Rams as you might think. They practice on grass every day. Of course, they play on grass at Anaheim Stadium, so they make the adjustment easier than an AstroTurf team would.
3rd down and 7. Everett protected well, throws to the corner and incomplete. The coverage by Mark Harper, number 23. Henry Eller, the intended receiver, and the Rams are forced to punt again. So nice work in the secondary for the Browns from a couple of their nickel and dime backs, right with the interception, and Harper breaking up that play. Gerald McNeil back at his own 31-yard line, and Dale Hatcher, who punted during the strike. Hatcher and Lansford, both the Rams kickers, worked during the strike. The only pair of kickers for each team to work during strike ball. It's a bad punt, but it takes a good bounce for the Rams. And so statistically not that bad as it bounces down to the 37-yard line. Turns out to be a 38-yard punt. Cleveland ball, 3:31 to go in the first period.
George Toma, this is the latest in high-tech ground repair here in Cleveland. Every time there's a timeout, out comes the grounds crew to stamp the turf back in, drop a few strategic ones. And this is a good look at the middle of the field. That is rolled sand, and you can see the cleat marks that are left after someone speeds by. And it's not going to get any better, folks. The grass growing season here in Cleveland is long gone.
They call them the Sod Squad at Cleveland Stadium as the Browns take over at their own 37 on first down. Ozzie Newsome, the tight end, takes the ball out to the 40-yard line. He gains 3, and he is really socked by Jim Collins.
118th consecutive game that Ozzie has caught at least one pass. Remarkable career. Leads all tight ends over 550 receptions. And he'll play in any condition. Last year, shoulder, ankle, he was out there every week. And a lot of other players wouldn't have been.
They're saving a spot for him in Canton, Ohio.
Just down the road. Second down and 7 from the 40. Byner sets up wide to the left. Mack is the sole setback, and it's Mack with no help out to the 41-yard line. Sean Miller and Mike Wilcher converge on the tackle. There's Wilcher in his 5th year out of North Carolina.
Interesting there, Frank. The Browns putting Byner out as a wide receiver all the way to the sideline. He's not going to throw a scare in any of the Ram cornerbacks. I can't wondering why they're doing it.
And made a key reception a short while ago on it.
One of the reasons might be his ability to block. Certainly a better blocker than any of the wide receivers. Maybe they're planning to run to that side.
3rd and 6 from the 41. They have McNeil in the game as a slot back. And over the middle, it's McNeil who makes the catch to the 45 of the Rams. Nolan Cromwell makes the tackle. The little one, Gerald McNeil, the ice cube.
And you saw a classic picture of the Rams zone defense. They play about 99% of the zone defense as we look at the blocking up front. But if you get a zone defense, you've got 3 wide receivers working against that zone, and you get this kind of protection, you're going to get picked apart, particularly by Bernie Kosar, because you just send your wide guys down there, hook up in front of the zone, wait until they clear a linebacker, and you're going to get your completion.
The Rams had time only chose to rush 4 people. Cody Rison, along with his guys up front, as you saw, gave Bernie that perfect alley up the middle to find McNeil.
Newsome in motion. Kosar says timeout. Timeout. 1:18 to play in the first quarter. The Cleveland Browns 3 and the Los Angeles Rams nothing.
Mike Babb at center is the shortest at 6'4". They go 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", and a pair of 6'7". Clearly the tallest offensive line in the league, if not the heaviest.
1st and 10 Cleveland at the Los Angeles 45-yard line. Look out from the blind side, and it's Mike Wilcher coming in almost uncontested and sacking him at the 47-yard line.
And Wilcher again on the blitz, and he beats the attempted block by Kevin Mack. And Kosar had little or no chance. Watch at the bottom of your screen. Wilcher, number 54. You'll see Mack step up to try to reach him. And you saw the field right there. Just did the splits. And Mack could not maintain his footing. And Wilcher was all over Kosar.
8-yard loss. 2nd down, 18 at the 48-yard line. Final minute of the first period. Deep drop by Kosar, and flags all over the place for interference. Mickey Sutton hitting Reggie Langhorne.
He hit him way in advance of the ball. There was no question about that one.
That wasn't a lone flag. A pair of them came in on that one, and Marty Schottenheimer's club is going to pick up some nice yardage. Let's take an ISO here on Reggie Langhorne.
Number 49. Defense.
Nothing fancy, just the 18-yard hook. You can play the ball, but you can't play it through the back of the receiver. Mickey Sutton clearly interfering on that play. That's a tough mistake to make when you've got your offensive opponent backed way up after a sack. That's just giving it back and more.
It goes from 2nd and 18 to 1st and 10. Cleveland at the Ram 38. 42 seconds to go in the period. 3-0 Browns. Byner. He's hit by Jim Collins, who was backed up by Mike Wilcher. Wilcher seemingly in on every play.
An excellent study in contrast tonight if you are into defensive football between the Browns and the Rams. The Browns on one hand will play multiple fronts trying to confuse the offensive team. The Rams on the other hand are probably the most vanilla defensive team in the entire league. They sit in at 3-4. They play it as honest as can be and just try to beat you with superior technique and superior personnel.
Zone all the way, roll weak, roll strong, and that's it.
2nd and 9, and they don't get the playoffs. They do not get the playoffs. The gun has sounded as the first quarter comes to an end. And a slight scuffle breaks out between Owens and Byner. A lot of high scores yesterday, but a low-scoring first quarter here. End of 1, 3-0 Cleveland. Back after this message. And a word from your local station. Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth. We're working together to be the best. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford and Dan Dierdorf as you look down into Cleveland Stadium on the shores of Lake Erie. Nice night. Temperature around 50 degrees, 3-0 Browns.
After been here a few times, just hang around. Things could change momentarily.
But for the moment, we'll take it.
It is beautiful. The weather does change quickly here.
2nd and 9. Browns have it at the Ram 37-yard line. Newsom in motion. Mack takes the pass. It's some blocking. Turns it into a first down. Takes it to the 25-yard line. And let's get an update from Corey McFerrin.
The Vikings trying to even it up at the Metrodome. 4th and goal. This is Wade Wilson going up and over a 7-7 tie. Less than 2 minutes to go in the first. The Homer Hankies will be out any minute, I think. Al, back to you.
What would they call them? Football flags?
Right.
Or, I mean, you can't call them Homer Hankies during football season.
Touchdown towels.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Okay. 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Newsom in motion. Off the fake. Incomplete. Intended for Langhorne.
Langhorne was open on that play, but he turned to the inside, and it looked like Bernie thought that he was going to break to the outside. Bernie threw the ball over his outside shoulder as Reggie was making his break back to the inside, but a good start, as you see, by Bernie Kosar, 7 of 9, and unorthodox. It's not classic, but highly effective. See Reggie looking over his inside shoulder all the way, and there comes the ball clearly back to the outside.
Still a lot of gaps in that zone, and they'll start finding them unless they can pressure the quarterback.
2nd down and 10. Good spinning move by Kevin Mack.
Oh, that's what Marty Schottenheimer wanted to see tonight. Wanted to get the run out of Kevin Mack, and it just changes everything when you can move the football on the ground. And this time Kevin Mack gets a big opening over the left side. Changes everything, particularly your passing game. And you can do this. You can come back and do a lot of things in the air. And that's just good, strong running by the big 225-pounder.
And how about that for lowering the shoulder and taking on Johnny Johnson, the safety that came up. A beautiful illustration of lowering the shoulder and getting underneath the tackler.
3rd down and 1. And there's Mack for the first down and touchdown.
Johnny Johnson again. They were worried about his ankle then.
Well, that time was superb blocking. Just watch it to the right side behind Babb and Fike and Risen. Not even a blow at the line of scrimmage. He shakes off Johnny Johnson, and away he goes. Kevin Mack breaks a couple tackles, and by the time that any Ram gets in there, Mike Wiltshire gets him at the 2-yard line, but his momentum takes him in.
Jeff Jaeger kicking out of Jeff Gossitt's hold. 16-yard touchdown on the extra point, and it's 10-zip.
Here he is again. Again, Cody Rison. Right side, 63, big block. Mack, big opening, and again, Johnny Johnson just falling off of the big back as he barrels into the end zone. Cleveland looking awfully good.
Who has to be very concerned right now with his team, not only tonight, but through the course of the season. And Marty Schottenheimer, who, well, his concern is moving into a first-place tie in the AFC Central. His team leads 10-0. A bouncing kick is fielded up at the 18-yard line and brought back to the 30 by lineman Robert Cox.
Let's look at Mack's touchdown again. Watch the block right here by Mike Babb, the center, on Greg Meisner, and then the cutoff block of left guard Paul Farron here on the inside. These are the keys to this play. The center shouldn't be able to handle a nose guard one-on-one, but watch Babb take Meisner clear out of the play. 74 Farron cuts off Jimmy Collins, and from there it's all effort by Kevin Mack, getting away from Johnson, getting away from Newsom, and then by the time Wiltshire gets there, too late. Excellent blocking at the line, and then Kevin Mack does it.
Dickerson is in the game at the 30-yard line, and they give him the ball right away, and a 1-yard loss. Carl Hairston, number 78. 2nd and 11 as Eric Dickerson makes his first appearance with 13 minutes to go in the first half. Dickerson has been an unhappy man for a couple of years. He has never been really happy with his contract, and he's had it renegotiated a couple of times. He wants more money. He wants to be traded.
Tough time to be doing it, isn't it?
2nd and 11. And again, this time he picks up the yard back, but it's 3rd down and 10, and he's met it once more by Hairston, who has the pleasure of his acquaintance, and Mike Johnson. 3rd and 10.
Folks in Los Angeles might be saying, well, there goes Eric, not putting forth any effort, but Jimmy Brown, Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, send anybody in here you want. On those last 2 plays with the blocking that Dickerson got, they wouldn't have gotten 1 inch farther than he did.
And I don't think it would affect him one way or the other, the way he'd run with the football out there. He's unhappy, but he still will be giving him 100% when he's out there.
3rd and 10. Intercepted and brought back inside the 20. That's Felix Wright again. Touchdown. Felix Wright. And he's one of the extra defensive backs.
You've got Pro Bowl corners, Hanford Dixon, Frank Menefield, and now Felix Wright has taken charge of this football game personally. Kicked off what would have been a touchdown pass a little earlier. Let's take a look at it again. Eller, the intended receiver, and Everett tried to squeeze it in there. Easy interception. Wright stepping in front of it. Takes it in.
Did you see the break that Felix Wright got on the football? You have to assume that Jim Everett was looking at Henry Ellard all the way, because Wright made a break long before the ball ever got there.
Jaeger kicks it through. I don't want to say Wright is the Tom Lawless of defensive backs, but you get my drift.
Yes, I certainly do.
Free agent out of Drake back in '85. There's some top defensive backs in that secondary. Not only the cornerbacks, but Al Gross, Ray Ellis. Good secondary.
You have to wonder if maybe Jimmy Everett didn't see his 2 outside receivers locked up on man coverage and be surprised to find that there was a safety back there free, able to come in underneath and make the play.
Look at it again. You talked about him looking at it. He's looking all the way to Ellard. Never looked it off one bit. And it gave Felix Wright the quick jump and an easy glide into the end zone.
Long night ahead. Not only a lot of time, obviously, to go here, but the Rams will then go to the airport, get on a plane, and arrive home at about 4:30 in the morning Pacific time. There was a penalty on the extra point against the Rams. They were offside for the kickoff from the 40, and it's taken at the 1-yard line by Ron Brown. And the former Olympic sprinter with a penalty marker having been dropped takes it back out to the 18. And a look down from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise in Pompano Beach, Florida. Jim Maloney, Tom Riley piloting, and Bill Sullivan operating the gyro cam. Penalty assessed by Mark Bright against the Rams, with the score already 17-0. LA now backed up to about the 10.
And now do the Rams more than ever need their ground game.
Illegal block, number 51, on the run back. First down.
And you say, you know, you might think I'm crazy when I talk about being down 17-0. What are you talking about needing a ground game? Frank, you can't expect Jim Everett to do it all in this situation right now.
Well, he has to be shaken up. He had a pass early in the game in the first quarter to David Hill right in his hands for a touchdown. That was intercepted and brought all the way back into his own territory. The Browns got a field goal out of that. He's thrown the one bad pass that was taken in by Felix Wright, but he has got to be shaken. Just in his second year, and he only played a few games last year. He's very new to this game.
Penalty takes them to their 5-yard line, and it's Dickerson who moves it out to the 9-yard line. Mike Johnson making the tackle. It'll be 2nd and 6. This season now, Everett has thrown 5 interceptions, no touchdowns. Last year, counting their wild card loss in the playoffs, they lost the last 3 Everett starts, and his first 2 starts this year. He did not cross the line, so 0-5, and now down 17-0 in the 6th consecutive Everett start. Second and 7. Dickerson. That's a screamer, not a flag. And he takes it out to the 14-yard line. It'll be 3rd and short. Sam Clancy on the tackle.
Let's take a look at Mike Junkin, the Browns' #1 draft choice, number 54, lined up at outside linebacker. How does he pursue? Floating behind his defensive lineman, reading the play, looking for the cutback, and when he sees it, comes up and gets in on the play. The 5th player taken in the draft last year. The Browns executed a trade with San Diego to move up, and that's a reward for a big hit here in Cleveland.
That's Dierdorf's room service.
Frisky biscuit.
3rd down and 2, and nothing cooking through the middle. A pack of them, and Clay Matthews leads the charge, sends Dickerson back, and John can only scratch his head.
And he knows he's in for a pack of trouble tonight. He's being out-hit on both sides of the line tonight, and more than that, I think his young quarterback has to be shaken a little bit. Probably shouldn't have been if he's been around maybe a little longer in this game. He had 1 that should have been a touchdown and 1 interception. That's all he's given up thus far, and should be able to stay in the game. But I think he's just a little shaken at the moment.
Dale Hatcher standing on the goal line. Gerald McNeil to receive. Booming kick. Good kick. 43 McNeil to the 50. Hard hit. And Larry Kilm is the man who did the popping at the 50.
Good thing McNeil has put on that 7 pounds. He's up to 147 this year. He might not have survived that one.
Houston, 17 fourth quarter Oiler points, and last week they blew that big lead in Atlanta. To blow a 13-point lead in the 4th quarter, do you know how uncommon it is? The Rams are the first team in 30 years to do it twice in a season. In 30 years. And they've already done it in the first 5 weeks of the year. They're not worried about blowing any lead tonight. They're down 17-0. Cleveland at the 51st and 10. Kosar going deep. A flag is thrown, and the ball is dropped, but there's a marker down. Jerry Gray was covering Reggie Langhorne.
And that's where the flag came flying, in the vicinity of Jerry Gray.
He was trying to get to the outside, and Jerry Gray had good position on the
Illegal contact foul, number 25, defense, automatic first down.
Rams in that zone defense had rolled to Langhorne's side. You'll see it in Langhorne will drive to the inside, make it look pretty good there. Now he tries to get to the outside. Gray in his zone is in perfect position, has the help on the inside, and there is the foul right there.
And that's a penalty that a defensive back just can't take. I mean, you know you're well beyond the 5-yard range where you get your hit, and then to make such a flagrant move up high over the top of the shoulder pads on the side of the helmet, that's just inexcusable.
First and 10 at the 45-yard line. And at the 33-yard line, flag down. Webster Slaughter is there. And Jerry Gray is very angry. And that's Leroy Irvin, number 47. But the case being pleaded by Gray with the head linesman, Paul Widener.
Pass interference, number 47, defense, first down.
Leroy Irvin and Johnny Robinson say no way.
This is very uncharacteristic for the Rams. This is one of the better defensive secondaries in the game. Let's look at Webster Slaughter. Just making his break to the inside. Oh, that is, granted, the left hand was on his back, but that's permissible as long as you don't move his body by the force of the hit.
First and 10 from the 32-yard line. Kevin Mack. Minimal gain. Sean Miller, number 98, the initial tackle.
That was extremely close on that call to Leroy Irvin. Remember, the hand can touch the back of the jersey as long as it doesn't give him a jolt and move him. That is a very difficult call, very close. It's easy to see how an official calls it. That was timed mighty tight.
Right in front of John Robinson.
8:50 to go in the half. 17-0 Cleveland. Second down, 9 at the 32. Complete to Mack for a gain of about 1. Vince Newsom made the tackle.
Vince Newsom has found a home at that strong safety, and you can see why here. One of the harder hitting strong safeties, and you find so many of them now playing that position back there. They usually lead their team in tackles, and you get somebody like Newsom, not all that big, but he will really put a shoulder to you.
Interesting that the Browns ahead 17-0 get the ball at the 50-yard line and are throwing it virtually every down.
Third down and 2, 8 minutes to go in the half. Third down and 8, rather. Third and 8. Kosar. And the defender falls down, but the pass is dropped. Brian Brennan dropping the pass after Johnny Johnson had slipped to the turf.
Good protection, offensive line for the Cleveland Browns. Blitz was on by the Rams. They picked it up just absolutely beautifully. It was Newsom on a safety blitz. You see it right here. Top of your screen, and stepping back and making a super block was Ernest Byner, and that bought the time for Kosar, and a completion that should have been made had not Brennan slipped.
You know what? Brennan tried to get back up. If he'd have just been satisfied with catching the ball and sliding into the ground, I think he would have held on to it. But in trying to get back up, I think that's the motion to kick the ball out.
Jeff Jager, 48-yard attempt. And the one-time University of Washington Husky, whose longest has been 45 yards, has just kicked one from 48. And he's a rookie. And he's given Cleveland a 20-0 lead with 7:45 to go in the first half. Let's get an update from the Metrodome. Corey McFerrin has this report from New York.
A frightening moment at the Metrodome. Broncos on the move early in the second. This is Gerald Wilhite exploding a big hole, but watch out. Joey Browner catches him from behind. Wilhite's right ankle and foot bent way back. He is carted off the field. Broncos now lead 14-7, but that injury does look serious. Al?
All right, well, we'll get you updated on that a bit later as to the extent of it. John Robinson, meanwhile, just pacing and very frustrated. And for Marty Schottenheimer, his team coming off a strike ball 34-0 victory and now a real 20-0 lead.
You know, one of the things that Marty Schottenheimer did was bring every one of his returning veterans into his office for a one-on-one conversation. And he told them, if you've got something to say, I want to hear it right now. And if you have something to say to one of your teammates that came in and crossed the line, we're going to get it off our chest now. We're not going to deal with it later on. We're going to deal with it today. Interestingly enough, the Browns players last week voted to practice, Al, on Friday and Saturday in pads.
You've got two teams very much going opposite directions right now. Ron Brown out to the 26-yard line. And a first down. Meanwhile, we understand that Jerry Markwright has talked to Marty Schottenheimer about the dog bones in the end zone. And it's funny to a certain point, and then the PA announcer has admonished those as if they're going to listen from the bleachers.
Why don't we send the cracked Browns crew down there today?
Yeah, where is George Toma when we need him? 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. Too high and incomplete and nearly intercepted. That's Hanford Dixon, who couldn't hold on. And so Everett finally gets lucky, because he's off to a miserable start tonight.
Take a look at him again. He, I think, is really shaken at this point. Now, he has plenty of time. He, again, looks the receiver all the way. Ron Brown, the intended receiver, and not even close, but he's looking at the man all the way. You've got to look off a little bit. When you're going against a guy like Hanford Dixon, Pro Bowler, one of the best secondary men in the business at corner, you've got to at least give him a little bit of a look off.
2nd and 10, and it's Charles White. He goes nowhere. Bob Golick from the middle.
Boy, this is self-generating now for Cleveland in every way.
Frank, we spoke to John Robinson this morning. Did you get the sense in talking to him that he was almost willing to look at this year as a growing year? He's looking at the development of Jimmy Everett. He's looking at Eric Dickerson and what's his long-term future with the Los Angeles Rams. And he certainly isn't writing off this season, but I think he's willing to bite the bullet if it's going to help the Rams 3 and 4 years down the road from now.
3rd down and 10.
What I did hear him say is he thought he had played well tonight.
He said it.
And out to the 40-yard line, Kevin House. Well, this team is split in the sense that you've got the owner, Georgia Frontiere, doing all the kissing on the sidelines, and John Shaw, the negotiator, putting the vice on at the contract table.
Well, I spoke to some Ram players asking them about their sentiment towards Eric Dickerson. And I don't think it's much of a secret that the Ram players feel that Eric has a legitimate beef with the Ram organization. He's not the first guy in a yellow and blue uniform to have problems with the front office financially.
Ask Henry Ellard. White. Half a yard or so, and Bob Golick in the middle makes the tackle.
And, of course, while we're talking about the Rams having the problems, might be able to credit a pretty fine football team. They have been coming off the ball tonight. You mentioned how they came back out of the strike all together as one unit. They were a superb football team a year ago that came within, just as you mentioned, Dan, earlier, a 98-yard John Elway drive of the AFC Championship. They came within that much of going to the Super Bowl themselves, and they are stronger this year.
2nd and 9 at the 40-yard line. Reverse. Ron Brown, the sprinter. And Buford McGee with a clip, and a flag is down, so a big gain will go for North.
Holding
They're
it.
good for a hold. Yep.
No, bring it back. That could have helped.
Remember, this game started with the Rams seeing a touchdown nullified on a penalty.
This one was so obvious it drew a couple of flags.
And the Rams just can't buy a break. Let's take a look at Buford McGee, number 24. That's Ray Ellis, the safety. He comes in from behind. Now you know you're out of position.
We have holding number 24 offense.
And what's the other, Jerry?
We're waiting, Jerry.
That was McGee's holding.
I think McGee had the clip.
Foul, number 27, defense on the tackle. Penalties offset, 2nd down.
Al Gross, big break for the Rams.
A rather inequitable offsetting, was it?
I would say, especially at the end of the play.
Same old story. We'll do it again.
Like we did last summer. 2nd down and 10.
Oh, there's a good look at the face mask by Al Gross.
From the 40. Everett going deep and off the fingertips of Damone Johnson. He was open.
I'll tell you, Everett can't catch it for them. He had one off the fingertips of David Hill for a touchdown. This will go right off the fingertips of Damone Johnson, and he put it in there absolutely beautifully. The big man coming down from a wide receiver, strange formation. John Robinson likes to do that and then go back and work in single coverage in the middle. Wide open, in and out of the hands. And again, as I said, Everett can't catch it for them.
No, but I disagree with you, Frank, in a sense that I think Jim Everett waited too long to throw that football. And when he did throw it, it was a tad overthrown. I think he was surprised by how open Johnson was. It was a catchable ball, make no mistake of that. But it was far from perfectly thrown.
3rd and 10, and there's the first down on the catch by Henry Ellard, who slips open over the middle and takes it to the Cleveland 40 with 5:10 to go in the half.
And that was good timing, and it was a good thing for Everett to come up with right now. He was maybe getting a little shaky out there. He's got tremendous pressure right in his face, and he hits Ellard exactly where he should, right between the linebackers, and Ellard gets the Rams out of trouble and gets it into Cleveland territory. That was a very professional shot there.
Sure was. They needed it desperately, too.
Meanwhile, Carl Hairston has come to the sideline. He is shaken up, so he's out of the Cleveland lineup. At the 40-yard line, the Rams have it 1st and 10. Hairston being assisted to the bench as White fumbles the ball. Fumble at the 39-yard line and no signal yet. Well, Cleveland. Matthews.
Chris Rockins was the guy that came up, the safety. They were in that bear defense or 4-6 defense, whatever you want to call it again. And Chris Rockins came in and put the hit, and the Rams just can't catch a break. Let's take a look at it up close in the line. You see Newberry and Pankey pulling. Charlie White with the ball from the left. Watch number 37. There's Rockins right there, and the ball comes loose. Clearly a fumble, and Clay Matthews comes out of there with it. The Rams continue to self-destruct.
Cleveland Browns 1st and 10 at their own 39. 4:40 to go, first half. And Kosar to throw, and he swings one out for Mack. And Kevin pulls his way all the way into Ram territory with a penalty marker down to the 45-yard line.
They were very worried about Kevin Mack coming into tonight. They're going to bring this one back, but that's another exhibition of fine running by Mack. He had a very sore ankle from Friday. The call will go against Cleveland.
Return, number 82, offense, first down.
Newsom. Hairston was shaken up and indicates that he's all right.
Well, he's done a terrific reclamation job here in Cleveland. Came from the Eagles back in 1984. Very unhappy there. And turned into an outstanding, almost Pro Bowl caliber football player here.
1st and 20. That much time left in the first half. 20-0 Cleveland. Out to the 37-yard line. The catch is made by Webster Swatter. Let's get an update from Corey McFerrin.
All right, Al, another Penn State product making a home for himself in the NFL. DJ Dozier from 3 yards out. There he goes, hurtling to the end zone. Touchdown, Minnesota. All even at 14. 7 minutes to go for the half. Good ball game in Minneapolis.
Yeah, they've had a few good ones in Minneapolis recently. 2nd down and 12 from the 37-yard line. Kosar off balance and overthrowing. Jim Collins putting the pressure on. Webster Swatter was running deep, but Kosar overshot him.
Now, Frank, if you're conducting a quarterback school and you wanted to teach a group of youngsters the exact way to deliver a football, would number 19 be the first guy you invited?
I said he's not very pretty to watch, but I mean, he was under a lot of pressure there. Both outside linebackers coming at him. The only thing he does really well is he gets it done.
He wins.
He wins. He is going to be a big winner in this game. Not particularly tonight, but I mean the game of pro football. He is something very special.
And from Boardman, Ohio, he has stolen the heart of Cleveland.
3rd and 12 from the 37. And he's sacked back at the 25, and that's Jim Collins making quite a comeback. Having a good first half.
A good look at Jimmy Collins, who blitzes from his middle linebacking position on the loop. Here he is right here. Watch him just loop around his guys, come in from this side. Bernie, who drops back, doesn't have a chance. Confusing the guys up front. Watch Collins delay a second, go on the loop, come around two of his men, and Bernie has to go down.
On the punt, the penalty marker is down at the line of scrimmage, and the punt goes all the way to the 25-yard line, but let's see about the flag. Jeff Gossett did the kicking, and Norwood Van and Johnny Johnson were in on him.
We have offsetting fouls. We have illegal formation. 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Offense, personal foul, running into the kicker. Number 51, defense. Penalties offset. 4th down.
Norwood Van ran into him, but offsetting.
Gotta have 7 men on the line of scrimmage. Cleveland Browns that time flagged with only 6, and then there is the roughing the punter, a glancing blow, but still, that's not to be tolerated. When that man has his leg in the air, no contact is permissible.
It almost looked like Norwood Van was trying to hold the punter up.
Now Mickey Sutton drops back deep at his own 31-yard line. Sutton and not Eller to return this kick with Gossett. Standing at the 12. Big rush again. Penalty marker down again. Sutton at the 25-yard line. Gets a block. Ooh. Oh. Bombed at the 32-yard line by Tim Manoa, rookie out of Penn State.
Oh, bombed is the right word. And keep in mind, there's another flag down
against Cleveland.
Oh, you're going to have some unhappy guys in white jerseys that now have to cover their 3rd punt in a row.
And some deep breathers. That's a full 50-yard sprint every time you go down, and this will be the 3rd one coming up. There, Marty Schottenheimer on the sidelines.
Illegal formation foul. Number 53, offense. 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 53 was in the backfield.
What?
I've got it right.
Again?
Consistency will pay off.
You have got to be on the line of scrimmage. He's on the line of scrimmage here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's the 7th guy? One of these 2 guys in here or him has to be up on the line of scrimmage. You've got to have 7 on the line of scrimmage.
I guarantee you there are going to be 7 guys on the line of scrimmage here.
Okay, they look exactly the same.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Gossett has now kicked twice. Both kicks have been 48 yards, but neither counts.
It looks exactly
I don't know.
the same.
Yeah, it does. No flag. And a bad kick this time, so he had a pair of 48 and then a weak one, and the Rams will take it after a 30-yard punt at the 48-yard line. 2:41 remaining in the first half, a half belonging to the Browns that are on top by a score of 20-0.
Good break for the Rams. What they need to do now, this thing has turned sloppy, but they need to get 7 points up there. They're not out of this, down 20-0. They can play better than they've shown thus far, and they need to get 7 real quickly.
Dickerson is in the game and has the football. Flips the tackle and turns a 1-yard loss into a 2-yard gain as he gets to the 50-yard line. Rockins coming up for the stop, 2nd down and 8.
And Eric just isn't getting much of a chance at all. He's having to fight off Cleveland Browns in his own backfield virtually every time he gets his hands on the football. He's having to make a cut or stiff arm or make contact with a Cleveland Brown behind his own line of scrimmage.
I don't think he's been to the line of scrimmage clean yet. It's tough when you're trying to renegotiate a contract.
2nd and 8. Flags down. Browns were in a hurry. McGee makes the catch, takes it to the 44-yard line. We'll have the 2-minute warning after we get the call. Offside, Cleveland.
Offside, number 78, defense, 2nd down.
That's Carl Hampton. And the 2-minute warning, which comes with 1:59 to play in the half. In Cleveland, where the Browns lead the Rams 20-0. Last week, and they're pitching one tonight. They won 34-0 over the Cincinnati Bengals at Riverfront. And tonight, 20-0 Cleveland, as the Browns try to go 4-2, and the Rams try to avoid going 1-5. Right there, Schottenheimer discussing the 2 calls on the 6 men on the line on the punt situation. 2nd down 3 at the 45-yard line for the Rams. Everett, and he has the first down. He finds Henry Ellard. Ellard taking it down to the 27-yard line. Rams have 2 timeouts left in the half.
And what would some points mean to the Rams and Jim Everett here before the end of the first half? A great deal.
From the 27, Dickerson. Now there's Eric. Inside the 20, inside the 10. Dickerson all the way in for the touchdown. So all of a sudden, the silent one, Eric Dickerson, silences the crowd.
He did that so easy. That was a great move right at the line of scrimmage. He was hit once again there, but it looked like he was just going through a practice drill, and great backs will make it look that way. Let's take a look at him again. Just a little kind of a draw. Reads nothing happening there. Moves right away from what would have been a block by Irv Pankey. Pankey with no contact. He was kind of stunned, and then he just turns on that speed that's still about 9.4.
I'll tell you what he read. He read the fact there wasn't a Cleveland Brown anywhere within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. What a hole.
Mike Lansford to kick. And the extra point is good. And so the Rams are down by 13, and they more than any other team in the league, know that a 13-point lead can disappear. It's happened to them twice.
The great ones do make it look easy. And that's exactly what Eric Dickerson did.
Let's look at this from the end zone. You want to see a hole? Now watch Eric. He's going to make a move to his left, but watch it open in the middle. That is a cavern as the Browns over pursue to the one side, and Mike Johnson, number 59, got cut off. Rockins comes up short. Minifield comes up short, and the man's greatness, a testament to his greatness, is how easily he made it into the end zone. I mean, that did look like a practice play.
Just doing his thing. And perhaps nobody right now in this game can do it as well.
Eric, hearing the cash register ring after that run.
Right. Hi, Mom, send money.
Looks like one of his Ferraris.
And this game has changed. I'd still rather go in leading 20-7, but this has put the Rams back in this ballgame, clearly.
Now, more important than that, I think, is that Jim Everett had a couple of key completions. He threw a couple of shots in there, got his completion to Henry Ellard, and I think he may have got his confidence back a little bit.
So the Browns to receive the kick. Glenn Young back at the goal line out of Mississippi State, and the barefooted Mike Lansford, one of a trio who kicked that way in the NFL. Low kick and a one-hopper taken by Young at the 6-yard line. A flying tackle is missed, and then Young takes it out to the 25 with 1:27, and the Browns have 2 timeouts if they elect to spend them. Upcoming over the weekend, we will have college football for you. Check your local listings. UCLA takes on Arizona State, or Michigan State against Ohio State. Coverage begins 3 Eastern time Saturday. 1 week from tonight, Irving, Texas will be the site as the New York Giants, coming off their win over the Cardinals yesterday, take on the Dallas Cowboys, 9 Eastern time next Monday night. Kosar and the Browns to the 25-yard line. Good protection. Safety valve to Byner, and Byner is just back to the line of scrimmage. And he is stopped there by Jim Collins. Collins had a pinched nerve in his neck. His whole playing future was in doubt. He missed all of the '86 season, but he has come back strong. And he's had a real good half. 2nd and 10. Kosar, and incomplete, slipping down the intended receiver at the 41-yard line. And Kosar Faced now with a third down.
And the Browns being very aggressive here with a 20-7 lead. Now face a third and almost 10 yards for a first down. And if they don't get it, if it's an incomplete pass, well, the clock stops. But if the clock is running, you know the Rams are going to stop it. And they're going to get another possession here if the Browns don't convert. This is real aggressive play by Cleveland.
Would not be surprised at all to see them keep the ball on the ground just to run some seconds off that clock.
3rd and 10. Of course, if they don't get the first down here, then the Rams will take a timeout. Kosar steps up, throws, man open, and it is Ernest Byner going down the sidelines and out of bounds at the 37.
Kosar again, looking like he is never even going to be able to negotiate his way out of the pocket. Looked like he was going to run for a moment, and the entire crowd, I think, held their collective breaths because they don't want to see him running around out there. But he reads it perfectly, spots Byner right here, and lays it in beautifully. Then it's a sprint down the sidelines.
Marty Schottenheimer told me that clearly his #1 asset, now talking about Bernie Kosar, is his awareness of where he is on the field. And a great example there, running parallel to the line of scrimmage before he passed it to make sure he didn't cross the line.
1st and 10 at the 37. Cleveland, 2 timeouts remaining. Browns ahead, 20-7. Over the middle for Brennan. He gets hit hard as he makes the catch at the 29-yard line by Jim Collins. And Cleveland will spend a timeout. 35 seconds remaining in the half. And the Browns will have 1 timeout remaining.
This is an excellent example. Getting the ball back with under 2 minutes left in the first half, leading 20-7. An excellent example of a team that has tremendous confidence in their own abilities. The Cleveland Browns are playing like a team that expects to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm extremely impressed with the way they've taken the ball and not satisfied with just having 20 on the board at halftime.
And there's the man that has given it to them, too. Marty Schottenheimer, the head coach, came in mid-season of 1984. Last year they were 12-4 and came ever so close to going to the Super Bowl. But it's a kind of a together team as much as anything. It's kind of a together organization. Dan touched on it a moment ago when the players came back in after the strike. They voted as a group. We're going to work out, and that's exactly what they did. They started on Friday, worked right through the weekend.
You know, a lot of teams said, well, okay, you're not going to pay us for this weekend. I'll see you on Monday or Tuesday. The Browns elected to practice last Friday and Saturday, and they weren't T-shirt and short walkthroughs either. They put on full gear, went out, hit, had some live drills getting ready for this game. That tells me a little something about how much they want it.
2nd down and 2. Cleveland at the 29. They have 1 timeout left in the half. 20-7 Browns. Rush is on. Kosar gets it away and incomplete, though. A wide open Clarence Weathers. 3rd down and 2.
Kosar had no other chance to do anything with that ball. He had to release it even before Weathers made his break. He was wide open, but by this time the ball is well on its way as Kosar was under extreme pressure back there.
Yeah, give some credit to the Rams and their front 7 that time. They came with a double inside linebacker blitz and forced him to throw it early.
Robinson trying to get the officials to look for something. 3rd and 2. Draw play, and skittering his way for a first down is Earnest Byner. He gets down to the 24-yard line. Browns have 1 timeout left. Rams don't want to let Byner get away. Clock running down to 13 seconds. Cleveland trying to get off a play and still have time for a timeout if necessary. They're in trouble, and Kosar's got to take the timeout here. A lot of time went off the clock.
That's very smart. The Rams covered Byner. They wouldn't let him up. The seconds ticked down to about 7 or 8. Kosar looked up there and said, look, I'm not going to rush this. I'm not going to give up 3 points. Let's settle down. And that, I'll tell you, it shows a lot of experience by this young man.
This guy, Marty Schottenheimer, he wants to know why the officials didn't stop the clock.
Yeah.
The official has
and he has a good question, too.
Yeah, he has the ability, if he feels the defensive team is going out of their way to not get up and holding the offensive players down, they can just stop the clock. And Marty Schottenheimer, I'm sure, is highly displeased as to why so much time was allowed to tick down. understandable, though, why Bernie wanted to conserve the timeout, but still, that's an error, not getting a playoff before the attempted field goal.
So now they're forced into a situation they have to kick the field goal, or at least attempt it. 41 yards from the 31-yard line for Jaeger. Made it from 23 and 48. And that one is true, and he's kicked 3 in the half. As time expires, with the halftime score, the Cleveland Browns 23 and the Los Angeles Rams 7. And we'll return to Cleveland Stadium after this message from the National Football League and a word from your local station.
Sure will be, but most people who've been monitoring the situation think that the format is going to be exactly the way it is right now, that the owners are
15-game season.
not going to make any concessions to changing the playoff format around. If you fielded a 4-strike team and you didn't do very well in those 3 games, that's just the way it goes.
Mike Lansford to kick off. Glenn Young to receive. On a bounce at the 10, 20, 30, and not what the Rams needed. A good, long Cleveland run back to start the second half for Young. The numbers now through the first 30 minutes about to appear.
Key item, of course, the turnovers. The Rams turning it over 3 times. Maybe the most important one was the first one, when Everett had it right in the hands of David Hill. David Hill could have stepped in for a Ram touchdown. It was picked off by Felix Wright, and that touchdown was turned into a Cleveland field goal. Big turnaround.
First and 10 Browns at their own 45-yard line. Bernie Kosar, the quarterback. And he begins by handing it to Earnest Byner for a gain of 2 to the 47-yard line, and that's Jim Collins again in on the tackle, number 50.
4 out of 6 resulting in scores. Only 1 punt in the first half for Cleveland. That's a pretty good indication of what they have done. Pretty much had their own way, and of course a defensive score as well. So Cleveland pretty much in control. If there was one halftime stat that was a bit of a surprise, it was the Browns only had 38 rushing yards. They normally run the football much more than that. I would be surprised to see a lot more ground game here in the second half.
Second down, 8. Going deep. Brennan has it inside the 20, the 10, and in for the touchdown. Jim Collins blitz. Brian Brennan got free. Beats Johnny Johnson. 29-7 Cleveland.
You live by the blitz and you die by the blitz. You've heard it so many times, but you get the single coverage, and Brian Brennan got himself all tied up, all alone with Johnny Johnson, and it was a good pickup. Bottom of your screen, Mel Owens, 58. He gets picked up. 50, Collins is picked up, and Kosar finds Brennan all alone, who has beaten number 20, Johnny Johnson. Tough to cover, man, individually, and somebody that can put the good moves on you, as Brennan can.
Brennan in strike ball last week caught 10 against Cincinnati. Jaeger's extra point is slightly errant, but does go through.
Brian Brennan goes up to see his friends in the dog pound. That's right, a high five with the Biscuit Boys. And the Browns mauling the Rams.
Leading wide receiver on the club last year. We mentioned before he's more of the possession type receiver, and he possessed that last touchdown. Bouncing kick coming back from the 12-yard line with it is Ron Brown, and the Rams' first possession of this half will commence at the 31-yard line.
Let's take a look at the 4 Ram linebackers. 1, 2, 3, 4. They've got 3 down linemen, but watch this. Everybody comes in on the blitz, and Bernie Kosar waits until the last minute. He reads the blitz. He knows he's going to have man-to-man coverage, and look how he waits till the last instant to release the ball to Brian Brennan, who was singled up on Johnny Johnson.
And of course, he picked the man who was covered by the man who doesn't ordinarily cover man-to-man, Johnny Johnson.
Well, they're a zone team 98% of the time.
From the 31-yard line, Everett back to pass. White, fumble, Browns.
We're going to have Al, I think we're going to get a roughing the passer, though.
And that would negate it if we do, because Everett went down in a heap. And he was bombed by Clancy and Camp. That's it. Rams still have the ball, but it takes a penalty to keep it.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 96, defense, first down.
What you're going to see here is Sam Clancy, number 91, is going to be low on Jim Everett. Watch Clancy. He'll come from the bottom of the screen, but then it's going to be Reggie Camp who comes in late from the top. There's Clancy low, but it's that hit by Camp right to the face. And Jerry Markwright says that's a little too much, a little too late, and a good break for Los Angeles there.
Camp only goes 280.
From the 46-yard line, 1st and 10, Rams. Everett, and that's David Hill making the play at the 49-yard line. And his brother picks up the paycheck or two from the American Broadcasting Company. Jim Hill. First half possessions for the Rams.
And this bears no resemblance to the Browns and their first half possessions. Notice how Los Angeles started in their territory, with the exception of their second possession. Started at the Cleveland 47, and yet that resulted in an interception.
2nd down and 3 from the 48-yard line. Everett tipped, incomplete. McGee couldn't hold on. McGee's the guy, and Everett's really angry. McGee, the fellow traded from San Diego when Barry Redden went to the Chargers.
That time Jim Everett put the ball right between the numbers, and it just seemed to be a herky-jerky type effort by Los Angeles tonight. You see some spectacular plays, but more often than not, it's followed up by some sort of a mistake.
At the 47-yard line, 3rd and 3. And to the 40-yard line, Buford McGee. This time he holds on after some admonishing from Everett on the previous play.
It's a little how he was used down in San Diego. The Rams acquired him from the San Diego Chargers. They like to use him out of the backfield. Dan Fouts hitting him quick, and that's the kind of offense that Johnny Robinson would like to swing to. He'd like to have a very happy Eric Dickerson running the ball maybe 18, 20 times a game instead of 30, and he would like to be throwing that control type of passing that was so characteristic of Don Coryell.
From the 41, 1st and 10. Everett hitting Ron Brown, and Brown is he is not out of bounds. He stayed in at the 35-yard line. Clock still rolling. 12-12 to play 3rd period. There's Clancy being worked on.
His last play was the roughing the quarterback call on Reggie Camp, and of course Sam Clancy, the former basketball player from Pitt, was the leading rebounder in the Big East Conference his senior year at Pitt, 6'7", and has made the transition to a pretty decent pass rushing defensive end with Cleveland.
Charles White inside the 30, takes it to the 29-yard line. He is stopped there by Clay Matthews. And a first down. Clay Matthews, who played for John Robinson when Robinson was the coach at Frank Gifford's alma mater. Fight on for victory.
He's been a good one for a lot of years. I thought you would get around to Notre Dame very shortly.
Yeah. You read my mind.
Yeah, we are going to those student athletes. We're whacking up on them.
1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. McGee. And he fights his way down to the 19-yard line.
I think what we're seeing right now is a good illustration of what the Los Angeles Rams are trying to do with Jim Everett. When he came out of Purdue, his passing game was drop back, look around the field, and make something happen. Now, Ernie Zampese, who has come into the Ram organization as their passing game coordinator, is wanting to instill a more structured passing game. Frank alluded to the fact that it's more of the Don Coryell type system. Short passes, rhythm passes, 1, 2, 3, plant, deliver. And Jim Everett is making, I guess he's having a little bit of a tough time making that transition, but I think that's what John Robinson was saying. I'm willing to invest the time that's needed to make this kid great.
And can I tell you how foreign that is to John Robinson over the years with the likes of Charles White, Anthony Dickerson? He loves to run the football. And he'll give it to him. To Marcus Allen, he'll give it to him as many times as they want to carry it.
Just shy of the first down. Good numbers for Kosar. Second down, inches. Brown jumping. Reggie Camp, unless he was drawn off, was the guy, and he's saying, "I hate, not me, babe, not me."
You watch these Cleveland Browns, Dan and Al, they have become such a physical team over the past couple of years under Marty Schottenheimer.
Outside, number 96, defense, first down.
2 or 3 years ago, they were catchers, and now they are really bombers. They're hitters. And they walk out on their field, and it comes, I know, from Marty and his staff, but they walk out there, and they're shocked when they don't come off with a win.
There's Sam Clancy getting his shoulder taped up. I know that Patrick Ewing must have been a load under the boards, but I don't know if he was this big a load as playing in the NFL.
Dave Pizzulli has replaced Clancy in the defensive line. 14-yard line, 1st and 10. And falling down is McGee, so he makes the catch that time, but McGee having a lot of trouble. And it's a loss of a yard or two with 10:10 to play third period, 30-7 Cleveland. Buford, McGee, Rams, again minus Mike Gooman. He's hurt. Second and 11 at the 17. And it's dropped. Another drop. This time it's the normally pretty sure-handed Ellard.
Jim Everett is going to have nightmares tonight. Granted, he threw one bad pass that resulted in a Felix Wright interception and touchdown, but he's had several that have been dropped on him. Now, Ellard would have certainly got close to first down yardage, certainly inside the 5-yard line had he handled this. He had a drop ball earlier by Damone Johnson, right out in the open. Very frustrating night from the youngster from Purdue.
3rd and 11. This time it's caught, and taking it down to the 6 is Damone Johnson, but he does not have a first down. You can see the yard marker, and he's a yard or so shy. Stopped by Clay Matthews, and really down by 23. You're almost compelled to go for it here.
Yeah, going for the field goal doesn't impress anyone here. No choice do the Rams have other than to go for the first down, and in comes the beef. The Rams will go to a multiple tight end setup.
Mike Gooman, there he is. He's hurt. He might be in a situation such as this, and the Rams send in 4 and still can't get it figured out. They have to take a timeout. Key play for them coming up. They're down 30-7. We'll be back. Cleveland, 8:58 remaining in the third period. 30-7. Browns on top, and the Rams facing a 4th and 1 at the Cleveland Brown 5-yard line. James McDonald comes in as a second tight end. And let's see who is guilty.
I thought I saw some sort of a flinch on the Ram line. Jim Everett certainly trying to pull them offside with the inflection in his voice.
Encroachment foul, number 78, defense, first down.
Carl Hairston.
For the second time tonight, offside. The first was not nearly as crucial as that. Did anyone in a blue shirt move? Ooh, Jim Everett rocked back a little bit. Did you? Now there is a good move by an NFL quarterback. That subtle little shifting, dropping back on his haunches. Brought the Browns offside. Yeah, that was a grade A play by Jim Everett.
You're probably right about the inflection in the count.
Mark Wright just getting the sideline crew squared away, saying first and goal at the 3. 8:58 to play, third quarter. Cleveland 30 and Los Angeles 7. First and goal. White. Second and goal. He's just short of the goal line. Ray Ellis stopping him from going over. Steve Dills, the backup quarterback, coming into the picture with Robinson.
John knows that at 30-14, which is what the score would be if the Rams are able to get it into the end zone with as much time remaining in this contest as we have, 8.5 minutes in the third quarter, they're still very much alive.
Did you say that?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Very alive.
Hey, there's 23 minutes of football left.
On second and goal. Touchdown. White goes in for the score. And the extra point will bring him within 16. So Charles White, who had a touchdown negated, remember, early on in the game, the Rams would have had a 7-0 lead, but illegal motion was called.
Former #1 draft pick of these Cleveland Browns, Charlie White, over the top. Just did crack that plane.
He didn't put a big crack in it.
Robinson's reaction, he's thinking just like you, Dan. We're back in this thing.
Look at that unbridled excitement.
And Dills takes the jacket off because he's the holder for Lansford. And the kick is good. So the Rams trying to hang in. 8:14 to go in the third period. Cleveland on top 30-14. Stadium. And you know, you think back to the beginning of this baseball season, a lot of people thought the Cleveland Indians would be in the World Series.
The editors of Sports Illustrated did. They had them right on the cover.
And then all of a sudden it's the Minnesota Twins as the world champions, and that's a big shock. But it happened. Herman Fontenot takes the kick back to the 19-yard line, and let's get an update from the Metrodome as we go to New York and Corey McFerrin.
All right, Al. Vikings come out swinging in the second half from their own 25-yard line. They give to Darren Nelson and watch him zip and zag and head for the sidelines. He would go 72 yards before being forced out at about the 3-yard line. Sets up a short touchdown run by DJ Dozier. Extra point no good. 20-17. Vikes in front for the first time.
Good game there. 19-yard line. Mack. No gain.
The Rams announced this evening that they have lost one of their longtime employees and friends, Jerry Wilcox, longtime involved with the public relations department of the Rams, passed away today. And all of us at ABC, and many of us knew Jerry quite well. We'd like to express our condolences and sympathies to his family and the many, many friends of Jerry Wilcox.
Fine, fine man. Second and 10. At the 20-yard line. Kosar. Low pass, but it's caught by Byner. Nice catch. And he's spun down out of the 27. It will be 3rd and 3 coming up.
The Los Angeles Rams are one of the toughest teams in the NFL to run the football against, and you really get the impression in watching tonight's game that the Cleveland Browns had made up their mind coming into tonight that they weren't even going to attempt to run the football against the Rams, because they've really made no concerted effort to try to move it on the ground, and it's been Bernie Kosar's. It's been his show and his show alone tonight.
3rd and 3 from the 27. Browns ahead by 16. And Kosar takes a timeout.
Bernie Kosar, he's still young, having missed really 2 years of collegiate football, coming out earlier and being drafted of the rounds in the supplementary draft, but he's showing so much poise. He is a veteran. And a good night for Bernie Kosar.
Following the strike, anyway, a lot of points scored yesterday, and through the minute, 709 points this weekend, with still 2 games in progress, the one in Minnesota, the one here. 3rd down 3 as we come back. Browns at their own 27. They lead by 16. Kosar has it batted away, incomplete. 4th down. Greg Meissner got his hand on it.
Al, you're talking about those points. We were just looking at the graphic. You notice how they were all in the 1980s. Strange how they seem to coincide with the liberalization of the rules in the secondaries about what you can do to a receiver or not. Open up the passing game and look at the records for points scored, all in the 80s.
Gossett. Fielded at the 28 by Clifford Hicks, rookie out of Oregon. And he runs east and west. And is knocked down at the 27-yard line by Tim Manoa and Herman Fontenot. There's Manoa, rookie out of Penn State.
And now I'm sure John Robinson has told his offensive unit, look, we can get back in this if we can move this ball down the football field. 6:17 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Plenty of time to get things happening. Down 30-14.
Timmy Manoa right there was one of the blocking backs for DJ Dozier at Penn State. We saw Dozier score a touchdown in the other game going on tonight.
On 1st down, Buford McGee, the intended receiver. Incomplete, 2nd and 10. Dillard back to the huddle.
I think Jim Everett and the Rams have to remember that on their last successful touchdown drive, they moved it down the field with the short passes, the possession passes, the 6, the 7, the 8-yarders. Even though he had a couple dropped, he still was moving the football with that controlled passing game. He can't go away from that.
2nd and 10 at the 28-yard line. Everett off to White, and White can't handle it. He was the safety valve. He pounds him from the 43-yard line. And the catch, nope, he wasn't in bounds. Kevin House.
Kevin House, a former New Orleans Saint, other Tampa Bay Buccaneer that the Rams were able to pick up a year ago when Ron Brown got in trouble towards the end of the year with a very sore leg. Had some great numbers Kevin House did in Tampa Bay. Lots of speed.
2nd and 10 at the 43. Third and 10.
Gentlemen, I'm advocating nothing. I throw this out for discussion purposes only. The Denver Broncos lose Gerald Wilhite. They need a running back. The Broncos, a very well-paying football team with owner Pat Bowlen.
And Eric keeps
we
talking
seem
about
to have an unhappy player here in tonight's ball game.
He keeps talking about the John Elways, the Brian Bosworths, and the trading deadline has been moved back a week. We should have had you negotiating that strike.
Pat Bowlen's going to love you.
Well, I just...
3rd and 10. Deep and incomplete, and a flag goes down because the hand went out. Felix Wright at the last moment reaching for and fouling Ron Brown, and a big break for the Rams.
And you laughed when I said there's still time.
Did you like the way that Everett flipped that ball? He's Felix Wright, and he does get a hand right in front of Ron Brown. He even pulled down the right arm.
Number 28, defense, 1st down.
Well, I think he meant 22. Felix Wright had his left arm on the right arm of Ron Brown, and that's what draws the call. It is not against number 28 of the Cleveland Browns, who's Herman Fontenot. Instead, it's against Felix Wright.
And that is a 46-yard penalty. 1st and 10. And it is 1st and 10. They conceivably could get a 1st down without a touchdown here. Ball just outside the 10. Buford McGee is in there. He's wide left as a receiver. And Everett looks the other way, and it's batted away. Dangerous pass, batted away by Hanford Dixon.
That, when you say dangerous, make it with a capital D. He had 2 receivers to that side of the field. Watch the move here. Henry Ellard is going to make his break underneath. Ron Brown into the end zone, and Everett goes to the double coverage side of things. And boy, Hanford-Dixon had a cakewalk if he comes down with that.
I think they were trying to work a little pick out there. It didn't work at all. Both defenders going with Ellard all the way, and Everett just reading it absolutely wrong.
No way to sugarcoat that, is there?
No, there isn't.
2nd and 10. Everett tries to dump it off. Little quasi-shovel pass and incomplete as the pressure was put on by Carl Hairston. 3rd down. That is not the shovel pass that Lee Grosscup came up with at Utah.
Lee Grosscup. Somehow Jim Everett was expecting help to the...
And it's taken at the 12 line by Glenn. Young is back out to the 27 with 1 minute and 33 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter.
Did you take a look at the guy flipping over the top of the wedge? I think either Norwood Van, number 51, or number 52, Larry Kell. Take a look right in the middle. Watch him go up in the air. That's Norwood Van, I believe. That is sacrificing your body.
Hurling it in there with total disregard.
From the 27-yard line, Kevin Mack fights his way for a gain of 3. 2nd down and 7.
And you mentioned about, excuse me, Al, about getting the Cleveland offense, having the burden on them now and getting them moving. But the one thing they don't want to do is get away from what's got them out in front 30-17. And that is, I mean, they have not been cautious at any point on the field or at any point in this ball game. They've been willing to throw it at any time, and they've been very successful with it. What they don't want to do is tighten up. Still a lot of football to be played.
2nd and 7 at the 30. Under a minute to play. 3rd quarter. Byner. Earnest to the 31-yard line.
And some uneasiness here at Cleveland Stadium. The crowd is sensing 3rd and long coming up, and they're not very eager to have the ball turned back over to the Rams.
Early in the game, they were coming out throwing the football on 1st down. They were throwing it on 2nd and long. Now with that 30-17 lead, final seconds of the 3rd quarter, they go with 2 running plays and get themselves in a must-pass situation.
3rd and 6. Kosar flush and run out of bounds at the 28-yard line. So they'll be forced to kick as the clock is down to 3 seconds remaining in the 3rd.
That time Bernie flushed out of the pocket. He's got, let's see if we can pick up number 86, Brian Brennan, his receiver. You see Brennan moving across there. He's wide open, but he doesn't help out Bernie because he's not beyond the 1st down sticks. He sits down, waits for the ball, but look at the sticks. Another 4 or 5 yards beyond him. It doesn't do any good for Kosar to throw him the football. He can't go anywhere with it. The receiver's got to help out his quarterback and get beyond the 1st down marker.
Final play of the period. Gossett punt. Rush was on. 28-yard line. Clifford Hicks takes it back to the 36. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter. We'll be back after this word about an upcoming show on ABC and a word from your local station. Be a little concerned right now. His club at one point looked like it had this game well in hand, but all of a sudden a football game as we start the 4th quarter.
Mr. Modell is about 8 feet to my right, and he was all smiles in the 1st half, and the mood has changed dramatically. Well, look at that. I mean, you ask for a shot and you get it.
Yep.
This is America. What a great play.
1st and 10 at the 36-yard line. Everett going deep and incomplete. And good coverage on that play. Brown was down there, but Minifield wasn't letting him go anywhere. Let's take a look at the numbers for 3.
The 3 turnovers for the Rams. It's funny how we look at those numbers all the time, and we always seem to work our way down to the 5th column in a hurry, because that's normally reflected on the scoreboard. And again, look at the Browns. Only 47 yards rushing. To me, that's a surprise, Frank.
And of course, the Rams have been behind, but how many times have you looked up there in the Eric Dickerson era, so to speak, and has seen only 85 yards rushing.
Everett. Short little pass. That's David Hill catching it.
Frank,
42.
Frank, I guess my response to that is, how often in the Eric Dickerson era do you see Charles White carrying the football? Look at it here in the middle. The Dogs trying to put some pressure on Jim Everett, and the pocket collapses, and even though that doesn't go into any statistical category, those are the kind of things that come to bear in the fourth quarter. How many times your quarterback has to pick himself up and go back to the huddle a little dirtier and a little sore.
3rd down and 3 from the 43. And Everett, and there's a flag. He gets a flag after the incomplete pass.
I think that happened against McGee, and McGee was trying to come out of the backfield, and he just got hammered by Wilshire.
And he's hurt.
Or rather, who was that, Matthews or Junkin?
Holding number 57. Defense, automatic first down.
Ray Matthews over on the right side when McGee tried to circle out of there, really got nailed.
And it'll be a first down for the Rams now before a suddenly quiet crowd. And McGee hurt with Tim Terrell coming in to replace him in the backfield.
And keep in mind that McGee was replacing Mike Gooman.
Yep. White into Cleveland territory, and Charlie pops his way down to the 42-yard line, and Tim Terrell, who just came into the game, laid out a good block.
I want to go back to my statement of the first half where I said that John Robinson told us this morning that, bar none, Charlie White was the toughest human being he had ever known in his entire life. He said that Charlie White made a decision to not honor the strike and cross the picket line, and he walked right across that line, passing 270 and 280-pound linemen, and they just said, "Hi, Charlie, how you doing?" Not a word was said. They have that much respect for him.
42-yard line. Terrell takes it for a gain of 4. And also for Charlie White, it's been a tough time for him. The drug problem is well known. He started the season with an arrest, and as far as I know, it's a daily drug testing routine that White has to be subject to. And there he is up amongst the NFL rushing leaders at this point. Mike Rozier is second, having played only 3 games.
It's not been an easy life for Charlie White, even though he wears that Heisman Award very proudly. He had his own problems right here in Cleveland.
2nd and 5, 38-yard line. Terrell gets hit as the ball arrived, and it's incomplete with 12:57 to play in the fourth.
Charlie White was one of the first members of Sam Rutigliano, the former head coach of the Cleveland Browns, to set up that inner circle group, which has been copied by many athletic teams, sort of an AA type of grouping, as you see the incompletion again, in and out of the hands of Terrell. But it's an ongoing thing here at Cleveland, and it's been copied in professional sports at all levels.
They keep working on McGee. It's 3rd down and 5 at the 38. Good coverage. 4th down. And Camp covering Everett as well.
And again, Jim Everett picks himself back up. He has gone down on about 8 out of 10 times that he's attempted to pass. And on 4th down, the Rams really here have no choice but to go for it.
You touched on it a while ago. After a while, it really starts to tell in the fourth quarter. You've been hammered, even though it doesn't reflect in sacks or interceptions. You've been hammered every time you go back there. Every time you release the football, somebody gets a finger on you, a hand on you, drops it. It starts to tell.
4th and 5, and the Rams elect to go for it from the 37, which they almost have to do, and they get the first down as Damone Johnson is out of bounds at the 28-yard line. So the Rams are doing this minus Dickerson, and as far as we can tell, just in scanning the sideline of the Rams, I don't even see Dickerson out there.
Very different type of offense for the Rams, and reflective of the new offensive coordinator, Ernie Zampese. David Hill, who has very few receptions over the past few years as a tight end, out of there. Simone Johnson, tight end with obviously good hands in there, and he will be a key man in the overall offensive scheme of things for Zampese.
First and 10, 23-yard line. Over the middle to Johnson. He takes the ball to the 16, and it'll be 2nd down and 2.
Again, Zampese with the Don Coryell philosophy of offense, and that is throwing it that controlled game. And you think of all the receptions by the San Diego Chargers tight ends under Don Coryell. With the Cardinals, Dan, when you were there.
Absolutely right. J.B. Kane, Jackie Smith. And if you don't rather sense the tension here in Cleveland Stadium with the Rams threatening to get within a touchdown of taking the lead, you're just not here. It's unbelievable.
2nd and 2 from the 16, and that's Tim Terrell taking it to the 15-yard line. And a big play coming up.
Well, we certainly have two stories going on here tonight. One, the Rams trying to crawl back into this ball game, but the other is, while we talk about Charlie White and his successes here on the field tonight, it's still a story that Eric Dickerson is not playing. He has played very little tonight, and
there he is, and we spotted him, and the reason I said we couldn't find him before, he's not a guy who looks like he's ready to come into the game at any moment.
Nor does he look like a man who's clamoring to get back into the lineup.
So he's there, sort of. Meanwhile, one of the Browns is injured.
I can't get a number, so we'll not speculate.
We'll hold on. With 11:44 to go in the 4th quarter. And might be Hairston. It is. It's Hairston. I saw the 70-something. It's Hairston, who was shaken up earlier as well. So Hairston is the injured Brown, and it'll be 3rd down and about a yard to go when play resumes for the Rams. Carl Hairston, he's been around a long time. In his 12th year of the National Football League, went to school at Maryland Eastern Shore.
Here's Carl Hairston right in his stance right here. He's going to crash to the inside and end up at the bottom of the pile up here. Let's see if we can determine what happens. See him take his move to the inside, and he just disappears under that rather large pile of humanity. Tough to see, but Carl's up on his feet. And Al, you spoke earlier about what a pleasant surprise he's been for the Cleveland Browns coming in that trade from Philadelphia. And he's one of those take charge guys, almost like a father figure to some of the younger Brown defensive linemen. He's been that way even in Philadelphia. I remember when Dennis Harrison, their very talented defensive end, came in the league. He kind of came under the wing of a Carl Harrison.
And he played in the Super Bowl against the then Oakland Raiders in 1980. Buford McGee, meanwhile, well, keep in mind now, it's McGee who is seeing more action tonight because of Goulman's injury. So you've got Dickerson on the bench and Hairston coming off the field, and Goulman gone and McGee gone and Dickerson half gone.
Well, that even emphasizes even more the Dickerson story. I mean, here are the Rams now who are desperate for some running backs, and yet Eric Dickerson is nowhere near getting into this ball game. I mean, I think that's a statement as to his status right now in the eyes of John Robinson.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it's a little bit incredible that they're really down to Charles White.
Again, repeating what John Robinson said. He said the football player has two lives, really. One is a negotiating life. The other is to play the game of football. And they should be separate and apart. When you bring them together, he said, that is when I have to step in. And that's what he apparently has done.
3rd down, 1, 15-yard line. Complete, and so that's going to set up a very important 4th down. That time Clay Matthews put the charge on Everett and forced him to unload.
Boy, you have the Rams team throwing on 3rd down and almost 2 yards. When you're in a 4-down offense, you had 2 downs to run that football and get that 1st down.
Browns lead 30-17, 11:16 to go. 4th and 1, Rams going for it at the 15-yard line. And it's White, and White is close. Eddie Johnson stops him.
The Rams are going to need a spot to get that one. They're going to need a very favorable spot.
My point was, a while ago, you could have done that twice.
They're going to need a good mark to get this.
And they'll bring the sticks in.
Still plenty of time, no matter which way it goes.
Be a lot more time if they had a first down.
Cleveland ball.
Now the burden shifts to the Cleveland Browns. They kind of went into a shell on their last offensive possession. Let's see what they do now. Art Modell breathes a major sigh of relief over here to the right.
Some life back into Mr. Modell's box.
Eddie Johnson, big play there for the Browns. He was at the bottom of that mess.
Meanwhile, one of those you never know. Does Dickerson get the first down on that play?
Give it to him twice. You got a pretty good shot at it.
Yeah, you do.
That's a question you have to ask.
1st and 10, Cleveland at the 14-yard line. 10:56 remaining in the 4th. Browns ahead by 13. And they're not going to play it conservative. To the 34-yard line as Reggie Langhorne makes the catch.
That's what they needed to do before. This is the way they came out to play. This is what they believed in. And they come right back to it. This is what they were doing in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd quarter. And they get the first down and get out from underneath their own goalpost.
A beautiful illustration of dropping it over the linebacker in front of the secondary. A great shot of the high arc on the ball that time by Bernie Kosar, who I think one of the key points on that play wasn't pressured at all in his throw.
Browns at their own 34-yard line. 1st and 10. Byner. And not only a completion, but he's staying in bounds, and that means the clock keeps moving, and we're under 10 minutes to play.
Little set play, little one-man screen with the screen man being Mack coming out to get the block for him. Byner gets a bunch out of it.
Remember how we talked before about Jim Everett locking in on a receiver? Let's watch Bernie Kosar. Look at him look to the left. He looked to the right and then back to the left again. Granted, it wasn't a big head movement, but still, he gave that glance to the far side of the field. He didn't give the defensive backs anything to lock in on.
2nd down and 2 at the 42-yard line. Mack has the first down. And out to the 50-yard line. And this is exactly what Cleveland loves to do at this point. Not only pick up the first down, keep staying in bounds and keep that clock ticking down. 9:08 to go.
Ooh, bad news for the Los Angeles Rams. Buford McGee has torn his Achilles tendon. Preliminary report is it may need surgery. Boy, you hate to hear that. For the Browns, Al Baker is out of the game. Bubba Baker has a pulled groin, and he'll play no more tonight. But boy, that's disastrous news for the Rams and Buford McGee.
1st and 10, Cleveland at the 50. Kosar throwing. And a short gain. Ozzie Newsome makes the catch. Let's get an update on Minnesota-Denver from Corey.
All right, Al, that Metrodome magic you left last night working for the Vikings as well right now. Early in the 4th, Wade Wilson on the run, gonna let it fly, and a great catch by Leo Lewis. Touchdown Vikings, 34-17 Minnesota, 12 minutes to go in the game.
And here Cleveland leads 30-17. Ozzie Newsome catching a pass here in his 118th straight game. 2nd and 6 from the 46. And nearly picked off Mickey Sutton.
Watching that Minnesota scorer come in Gary Burns has done some job up there in Minnesota. The only 3 games they lost were the replacement games. They won their first 2 games, and they look in awfully good shape tonight against Denver.
And if any other team got off to as slow a start as the Giants in putting together a replacement squad, it was Mike Lynn and the Minnesota Vikings. They held a tryout camp down in Memphis, Tennessee, 1 week before they had to play a football game, trying to find their entire team.
They would be 3-3 with a victory. Denver would be 3-2-1. 3rd and 6 here. And another first down, 38-yard line. That's Brian Brennan.
Talked about possession earlier, Al. That's exactly what Brennan will give you. He's been the leading receiver for the Browns over the past 3 years. Just does it very quietly. Comes in, works either as a motion man, finds a little open spot.
Look at Bernie Kosar. All the way back in his drop, he looked to the right. And then he comes back and looks to the other side of the field. Now, I'm not trying to belabor that point, but every good quarterback in the National Football League has to do that. On your drop, you have to look one way, look another way, but whatever you do, you can't go all the way back looking at the man to whom you intend to throw the ball.
38-yard line. Kevin Mack. And that clock keeps on ticking down to 6:52 to play in the 4th period. Cleveland ahead 30-17.
Further to what you're saying, Dan, for a quarterback to learn that, he has to have the experience. He has to be able to read the ball quickly. He has to have the confidence that he can read that defense when he drops back and be able to look away from the receiver he's going to go to. It takes a while, and Bernie Kosar, who missed his junior and senior year in Miami, nevertheless, as young as he is, he's been there since 1985, and it'll come for Jim Everett. You get the feeling he's just not there yet.
2nd and 8 at the 36-yard line. Mack. And the Rams were able to get him out of bounds, and that helped L.A. because it stops the clock. 6:11 to play.
Frank, to expand a little bit on what you were saying about Bernie Kosar, Bernie graduated early at the University of Miami and came in the supplemental draft. If he would have stayed at Miami, graduated with his football class, this would be his rookie year in the National Football League. What a head start this young guy has gotten, and we talk about him like he's some sort of a grizzled old veteran. And this guy's 23 years old.
And he would have been coming into the league with Vinny Testaverde.
3rd down and 4. Front, but overthrown. Clarence Weathers had gotten there, and a penalty marker is down back at the 22-yard line. Could have been a hold on Mickey Sutton.
Clarence Weathers was acting like he's the guy that was held.
Jerry Markbright. Okay, Jerry, inquiring minds want to know.
Holding number 49, defense, automatic first down.
Sutton.
When you know you're beaten, you might as well do something to try to get a hold of the guy. Maybe you'll get by without getting caught. It certainly beats a touchdown, and that time Mickey Sutton reached out and put the long arm of the DB on Clarence Weathers.
6:05 now on a 1st down and 10. Cleveland at the 27 of the Rams. Hit by Vince Newsom. You know, you were mentioning Kosar, 23 years old, excluding the quarterbacks that played during the strike. There's only one starting quarterback in the NFL who's younger, and that's Don Majkowski of Green Bay.
And he became a starting quarterback, Kosar did, in 1985. Been around a little bit. Gary Danielson, by the way, dispelled any myth that he could not come back in and win for Cleveland last week, too, against Cincinnati. He was 25 of 31, 4 touchdown passes for the veteran, Gary Danielson.
2nd and 11. It's Newsom in motion. Mack. And Mack is out of bounds, and a flag is down at the 25-yard line.
One of the Rams, I believe, was across the line of scrimmage at the snap of the football. Did he go on his own, or was he drawn off sides? against the Rams, and a good look there at Kevin Mack, who could have just stepped out of bounds and avoided taking the hit. Instead, lowered his helmet and his shoulder and just went straight into 3 Rams.
Offside. Defense. Still second down.
We don't get a number from Jerry Markwright, who is the left defensive end of the Rams. Reggie Doss, who was the fellow that came across.
Well, Malibu Kelly Hayes, our man up here, said it was Doss. That's good as gold for me.
X-ray eyes. Adele.
Dickerson's neighbor.
Reggie Doss is number 71, who's down clearly across the line of scrimmage at the snap. Hence a 5-yard step-off against the gentleman in the blue jersey.
Second down and 6. Another flag as Tim Manoa takes the ball on the 20-yard line.
Talked about Manoa's blocking last year for DJ Dozier. Past couple of years, he also had 546 yards rushing for Penn State.
Holding number 61. Offense. Second down.
Center Mike Babb.
As Dan would call him, Shorty.
Yeah, he's a shorty, all right. Shortest guy on the line is 6'4". Hey, you know, Tim Manoa, you know, he's pretty much of an average guy. Pretty much of a normal youth. He was born in Tonga and grew up in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's, you know, that's pretty run-of-the-mill.
A lot of nonstops between Tonga and Pittsburgh.
Moved to Pittsburgh as a teenager, played high school football in Pittsburgh, and, of course, it's a short trip to Nittany Lion Country from Pittsburgh.
Second and 16.
No, Bernie, don't do it.
Sutton gets credit for the tackle.
That took him 7 seconds to get out of the pocket and aim for the sideline.
Meanwhile, Eric Dickerson,
who picked up no pointers on that run. But again, it's very difficult to underestimate the impact of his not being in there. I mean, it goes well beyond this game. If I am a player for the Los Angeles Rams, regardless of my sympathies for Eric and his wanting to get a new contract, when I walk off this field dusty, bruised, and battered, and having lost, I don't know that I don't cast him a wary eye.
3rd and 12. Into the 20-yard line.
There'll be many wary eyes, and that goes back to what Robinson said. I think he put it absolutely right. There are 2 things a football player does. There's nothing wrong with negotiating. There's a time to do it, a time and a place for it. Rams, with their backs to the wall, they needed everything possible that they had.
Meanwhile, the biggest irony of the night, we had that shot at Dickerson. The trade name on the glasses said leader. Huh?
Good pickup, Al. And again, we go back to the run he made in the first half. It really did look like a man running on a field with boys.
Jeff Jaeger, 48-yard attempt, doesn't get there. But what the Browns did on that drive was take a lot of time off the clock. They took about 6 minutes off it. So they lead by 13, and we've got 4:27 remaining in Cleveland, Ohio. Tonight, a look down at Cleveland Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio. The Municipal went out of this stadium a couple of years ago. It's just known as Cleveland Stadium, home of the Indians and the Browns.
And Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, these L.A. Rams used to be the Cleveland Rams when they left in 1946.
From the 29-yard line, Everett throwing and completes it to Henry Ellard, and he goes out of bounds out of the 42 on a first down. 4:22 remaining in the 4th period, 30-17 Cleveland.
This would seem to be the perfect opportunity for me to tell you that this telecast is presented by the authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or any other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is strictly prohibited. That's it, guys. I'm catching a plane.
Night, Dan. 1st and 10 at the 42.
Oh, he dropped that one, too.
2nd and 10.
I mean, another good pass that time by Jim Everett.
It's about eight or nine drops tonight.
And 3 or 4 by Henry Ellard, who has not had a brilliant evening.
Ellard missed almost all of training camp with a hamstring problem. Missed it a year ago as a holdout. And, of course, they had the 2 games, and he has troubled through one of those, so he has not played that much this year either.
2nd and 10 at the 42-yard line. Flag is down. Henry Ellard makes the catch, and the flag down back where where Everett threw it.
Well, that's a major league Ram holding. That's we had an attempted takedown in their offensive line.
Holding number 56, offense, 2nd down.
And their 3-time Pro Bowler right in the middle, Doug Smith.
I think he was trying to block on Mike Junkin, who came in on a blitz, and Doug found himself in an awkward position, and when in doubt, watch Doug. He's the center, snap the ball. He's going to look to his left, see the linebacker come through. He's already passed Doug Smith. That is Mike Junkin, and I mean, Doug had no chance to try to block him, and trying to protect his quarterback, he dove and tackled the guy. You know, an offensive line coach isn't going to chew a guy out for doing something like that. Keep your guy from taking a hit.
Either way, your quarterback.
2nd and 20 from the 32-yard line. Everett goes over the middle, complete. Ooh, what a pop. Damone Johnson has just met Stephen Bragg, rookie from Texas.
He was their 6th rounder this year. Let's just listen to this one.
Like that last sound.
That was the air going out of Johnson.
Yeah, it rewound him.
Rams have got themselves into another 4th down.
3 men in the booth.
They have more room than we do.
You know, that's not overstated at all.
And looking through the window, Cleveland Stadium down below.
Who's looking forward? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any dead air time up there.
Something nerve-wracking about the pilot turning around and waving to the camera.
4th and 12. Henry Ellard, the intended receiver. Everett winds up on his side.
Boy, is he
hit by Pazzulli, and the Cleveland Browns take over, and that will pretty much write a finish to this baby. With 3:05 left in the 4th, the Browns by 13, and they have the ball.
Last, what, 1961, and there is Patty Modell, his lovely wife. They live and die with this football team.
1st and 10 at the. I'm laughing because they have to sit in separate booths.
I wondered about that.
At the 40-yard line. It's Kevin Mack. I mean, they love each other dearly, but Art's got to concentrate during the game.
Somehow I assumed it would be my fault.
Right.
Every time we have a problem with the booth, it's my fault. I assumed that I would somehow take the rap for this.
Well, you have overlapped into Art's booth. Now, let's face it. One of the finer owners, he will allow you to move some of your heavier appliances in his area.
We do have some equipment up here, don't we?
Got a microwave, and you got a telestrator.
Yeah. All the Dan's toys. 2nd down and 8. Tim Manoa is in the game. And a fumble and a flag as well. And Jerry Markwright indicates.
Ball start, number 74, offense, 2nd down.
Indicates and verbalizes. There he is, Dan Dierdorf.
Let's take a look at some of his appliances. Can you widen that shot up a little bit? We'll show you some equipment here to the right.
We don't need to see all this
Simply a shadow
I think
of
you
his
can see it.
self.
There you are.
Well, this is a telestrator down here, a little monitor up there. We've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 monitors.
A little hot plate for a snack when he needs it over here.
Script. Look at him. We have 6 eyeballs and 7 monitors. Now, I need somebody to try to explain that.
I'll tell you, in this booth, you really get to know your Southern.
Yeah. And he's watching a movie on one of the monitors. 2-minute warning. Cleveland has it well in hand, 30-17. Browns. Dome 34-24. The Vikings leading. And here, Cleveland 30. The Rams 17. 1:52 remaining in the fourth. And the Browns, 3rd down and 10 at the 40-yard line. Byner to the 37-yard line. And we can tell you ABC's Tuesday primetime lineup, and there it is. Leads off with Who's the Boss? Growing Pains, Moonlighting, 30-something. And it all begins at 8 Eastern time. The Tuesday primetime lineup, which is appropriate since it is in the Eastern time zone anyway. Tuesday. And coming up tonight on Nightline, Dr. Timothy Johnson looks at the connection between cholesterol and heart disease. What you need to know to save your life. That's tonight on Nightline, and it follows your late local news. Rams taking a timeout so that they get the ball back. 4th down and 7. Jeff Gossett to kick. Clifford Hicks stands back at the 10-yard line. Braves trying to draw the Rams off. And that kick is angled and goes out of bounds at about the 11-yard line. So from there, will the Rams begin?
I'd wonder what all that was going on down there, all the colors you were hearing, and it was being called out by both the offense and the defense as they moved their men around. They didn't even have a man back to field that punt. They were bringing everyone in an attempt to block it. And they would make a move, and the Browns would counter it with their calls. A lot of happy dogs tonight.
Rams at their own 12-yard line. 1:37 to play. LA does not have a timeout. And trying to get out of bounds and not doing it is Tim Terrell. Clock keeps moving. Kelly Hayes, our spotter, the illustrious one. George Hill, Annie Hoffman up in the booth. Steve Hurt downstairs, and our crew headed by Kenny Wolf and Larry Tam from Cleveland. And staying inbounds again, Michael Young.
That was a good pass that time by Jim Everett. That was as nice a touch on the ball as you're going to see. Unfortunately, a tad too late.
From the 48-yard line. And down to the 38. Rams with a nice little march here, but really to no avail. Browns are giving them the middle.
I think what the Browns have done tonight, though, Al, is they've served notice that they plan on being back in the AFC Championship game again this year. I have to look at the Browns. I have to look at Seattle, Denver. Who knows what tonight's injury to Gerald Wilhite might mean, but clearly Cleveland, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the AFC, if not the best team in the AFC.
They're solid everywhere, and it's a great credit to Marty Schottenheimer, who came in 1984, took a 4-4 team, turned it into an 8-8 team. Next year he was in the playoffs, just barely lost to Miami, and of course was 12-4 last year and was one game away from going to the Super Bowl. It's a together team. Not only are the players together, but it's a well-managed team, top to bottom.
And Everett approaching a record with 49 attempts.
And that one is picked off at the 18-yard line by Mark Harper. And he's approaching a record, but when you throw that many passes, normally it's in a losing cause. Well, very often it is.
Imagine this, that this edition of the Ram football team threw the football 50 times.
Yeah.
With Eric Dickerson, they threw the ball 50 times. I mean, that's heresy.
It's a new offensive philosophy.
Well, with Eric Dickerson on the bench, but also they were down 17-0. So the score and Dickerson's semi-availability began to dictate that.
And as much as John Robinson would like to have avoided it, I think Eric Dickerson, the problem he has with Eric is just permeated right through the team.
Yep. He knows he's a man in the middle right now, too. I mean, he's got, as I said before, you've got an owner that kisses guys on the bench and as hard a negotiator as there is in John Shaw upstairs. And Robinson is sort of caught in the middle.
I wonder if when the Rams play the Saints, Georgia and Tom Benson can kiss and dance at the same time on the sideline.
You're bad. Benson's doing a lot more dancing than Georgia's doing kissing right now. Benson's team is at least 3-3. The Rams are 1-5. Art can go kiss Pat now, the Modells. And they can share the same booth for the post-game celebration because their Cleveland Browns have just won by a score of 30-17 over the Los Angeles Rams. And so there's your final score. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf saying good night from Cleveland, where this ABC Sports exclusive has been brought